Hello? Hey. Yeah, it's good to hear from you again. Well, this is a welcome surprise. Feels like we haven't talked in ages. How have you been? Is it good, like actually good, or good, like that's the default response? Call it a hunch. Serenity demons, intuition, and all that. Is it something you want to talk about? Is that why you called? Or is this time that you need away from it? Hmm, I I don't know that there is a right answer to that. I think if there is one, only you would be the one to know it. I think it would be an answer that's right for you, and for right now, and maybe only for right now. Answers when it comes to feelings are very rarely one size fits all. Your mileage may vary, as they say. Well, I chose a field that exists in the gray areas. It's not for everybody, but I've made peace with the idea that I probably never have the exact right answers for anybody, or at least for everybody. I have options, techniques, practices, lots of different kinds, because there's lots of different people. And the help that I give is to help somebody find the option that feels the best. Not to decide it for them, not to pass judgment on it, not to claim to have any kind of insight beyond general advice. But if general advice helps, I'm happy to help. And it kind of sounds like you could use some help right now. Then I want to help. What's going on? What's got you feeling this way? I don't think that's a cop out. I think that's an honest first pass of an answer. I'm sure it does feel like everything is making you feel that way. When we're already feeling down or conflicted in some way, all the things, even the little things that, at 100% we would brush off, stick because we're not at 100%. Your emotional bandwidth is a resource. It's renewable. It'll come back up. It'll ebb and flow, but the big takeaway is that in a given moment, it is finite. So I think to say everything is a fair starting point, so long as we keep digging. You're at a spot where it feels like everything is affecting you this heavily. So, where did that start? When did the things that you used to be able to brush off and go about your day start sticking? Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's a very natural response. I think that's a very normal way to feel. Not a comfortable way to feel, not a feeling that you want to become your new normal. I don't mean it like that, but it's a normal response to have. Your attention and your emotional resilience go hand in hand. They're both examples of those renewable but finite resources. You can only divide yourself across so many different things. And when those things are emotionally charged, the attention that those things eat up gets correspondingly more demanding as well. And then that feeling of being overtaxed has a resulting emotional impact that can very quickly snowball into a feedback loop. And that impacts our ability to do the stuff that needs to get done. So then, in the interest of being able to do the things that need done, we can end up isolating ourselves from the inputs that are hitting that emotional resilience, which can help, but then can leave you where you're at. That feeling of worry and even guilt about not staying informed, not keeping up, not staying vigilant to all these different inputs. You don't want to bury your head in the sand because these matter, but also feeling so overwhelmed when you engage with them that it's hard to keep up the steam. That push and pull of wanting to protect yourself from discomfort while feeling a form of responsibility to those discomforts is something that a lot of people feel. And what I always come back to when I'm in that headspace is to remember that attention and emotion have those limits. And those limits are different for everyone. As people, we can always work on expanding those limits, on growing them, on cultivating better emotional resilience, better attention, and that's a great goal. That's something we all have room to grow on. But just like anything that we have a future goal about, we also have to be realistic about where we are right now in that journey and what that means for our limits right now. It's all well and good to want to be stronger, but right this second, we're not stronger. We're just this strong. We're here. So, what do we do today? I try not to compare myself to others. That's a big one. Everybody's limits are going to be different. Not everybody's starting at the same spot. Not everybody's got the same experiences and circumstances. So, honesty with yourself about your limits and patience and grace with yourself about where those limits land matters. And one of the parts of this that can really suck is sometimes you don't know where your line is until you've already crossed it. Sometimes you hit the breaking point before you realize you're approaching the break, which feels awful. And maybe that ruins that day or a couple days. But you can't beat yourself up about that. It's information. It's really vital information to have learned. When it comes to emotions, you really learn by feeling most of the time, which can be imprecise and really frustrating, but it's information. That resilience is a muscle. You can strengthen it, but you gotta start where you're at. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Maybe it's only giving yourself a set amount of time each day to engage with all those inputs. Instead of doom scrolling endlessly, you set a timer, as silly as that might sound. Maybe it's only giving yourself a set amount of headlines you can go through, a set amount of comments, or a set amount of videos. Maybe it's being strict with yourself on the days when you really have to get something done, to say, I can't engage with any of that today. I'm not trying to run away from the world, but this needs done, and I only have so much energy to give, and I gotta put it here today. And maybe that's not a day with some big project or responsibility. Maybe that's just a day where you are giving yourself the day to recuperate, or to be with friends or family, to live actively in the moment. Staying engaged with what's happening is really important, but so is continuing to live your life. It's balance. And I wish it was a one-size-fits-all answer, but the truth is that balance is going to be a little different for each person. We've all got to find ours. And sometimes, while we're looking for it, we're gonna slip. And we've got to have patience and empathy for ourselves when we do. I don't know how much that helped. A lot of that I'm sure you've heard. I'm sure you know. But sometimes it helps to hear the thing again and to know that there are people who care, who are here to listen, who are here to help lift you back up. Emotions are personal to us. They're internal. And that can make dealing with them feel really isolating at times. But it doesn't have to. You just gotta find the right fit. Well, I'm glad I could help, even if just a little. Whenever you need me, I got you. You too. Be well, my friend.